Well, we are live. Hello, YouTube and the interwebs. We are trying to catch up on some fun news stories, and hopefully, you can come in and hang with us and have a good time. And some folks that I have spent some time with and gotten to know will be coming and joining here. Jace Fox of 540 Studio. How are you, Jace?
Hello. I'm pretty
And
well. I'm pretty well. Had an okay day. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And Troy Pacelli, he's with us after doing a great movie night. We talked about Dunkirk and Darkest Hour. So if you want actually something good to watch, those
Yeah.
are both high recommends for us. We definitely
Yep.
gave them a high recommend on those.
Absolutely.
So and definitely have plans to get together, and maybe it only is once a month or so, but we'll definitely try to continue to find some of those films that maybe you haven't seen, or maybe we just need to revisit because Lord knows there's not a lot of great content. So,
it's always fun to go back and revisit old movies. It's always fun.
and those two
I
aren't really old. It was just one of these things
right.
where it I don't know about you, Troy, but when we were talking about it, it almost feels like they were just kind of like forgotten, overlooked. Like it just kind of happened.
Mhm.
Award season happens, and then it's like just turn the page, and we don't even talk about them. And then when I rewatched them, I was like, man, these are so good.
They didn't seem to be the kind of mass market type of films, and so they do tend to fly under the radar from that pop culture sort of thought. But speaking of older movies, I do feel like this is a great time when if you get discouraged and you see that there isn't anything you're interested in at the cinema or whatever, uh, talk to an old fart like me, and I'll make some suggestions about stuff that's probably either out there streaming somewhere,
Yep.
or is definitely available, on physical media. And you can look back at it and say, wow, you old people had some good stuff back
There is
then.
some good stuff. There is some good. So let's say hey to some folks. We
Oh,
have
hey, Matanui.
Matanui's in here.
Hail to you.
So self-proclaimed internet's resident DA. So there you go.
I've heard
And
that
there's
before.
the lovely Netter network in here. All right, saying hi. Yeah, no, you know what, Troy? I said this today. Okay, Jace, I didn't hate it as much as you, and I don't want to get. We'll derail the whole show if we start talking about Doctor Strange. However, I don't like the movie. It's a mess.
No.
Yeah.
But part of my argument was a lot of people like this film because they have no frame of reference. And as I've talked to people, I'm surrounded by all these normies and whatever. One of the things is like, have you seen? There's a suspension of comparison that they have. They can just be entertained. For me,
Yeah.
it's like I don't even understand how they can separate the MCU. I'm like, this is the same people that made you Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy and the good ones. So how can you in your head rank them in a very similar conversational way? I couldn't get my head around that. So
No, like I said, I like the certain parts when you see it's Sam Raimi who is done
sure.
the shooting. That's the
Yep.
only parts that I basically liked.
Yeah, I only had one person who was the reverse. They didn't like those parts. They liked the flash and colors.
Yeah.
But most people were like us, like we prefer the Sam Raimi tone and tenor.
Didn't fit the
But I
whole
think they
movie, but
haven't
I liked
seen.
them.
There's also a lot of folks, especially younger folks. I think is what Troy was trying to say. They haven't seen good movies. How many people? I mentioned to Troy and Jason. I don't know if you have access to this. This was on Paramount. They have a show called The Offer, and it basically deals with the optioning of Paramount optioning the book from Mary Puzo to do The Godfather. And it's been a little on this. It's not. I don't want to say it's slow. That's almost unfair because it is a drama. Um, but it won't be for everyone. But so far, it's been good. It's been well acted. I think the cinematography's been good.
Okay.
It's set in it's a period piece, so all that's been positive thing. And I just finished HBO's Winning Time, which is a sports one about the Lakers. It's fine. It was fine. It's good. So I mean, again, a lot of these things are kind of raunchy and have their moments.
Yeah.
I think The Offer might be on network TV as well, but because it appears to be clean, whereas the HBO one was definitely not.
In Norway, we probably will get them on some other services that I don't pay for because
Sure.
we have way too many services in Norway, and we have HBO Max.
Mhm.
That's like the biggest one we have in Norway. That and Netflix. That's like the two biggest one. We do
Sure.
have Prime Video,
Okay.
but we can't access the full Amazon story of the whole
library.
catalog of movies. Yeah, we can't do that in Norway. Then you have to use a VPN, and then
I
you
was
have to
just
try
gonna say
to.
VPN.
But it doesn't always work that way because certain
Right.
movies you have to have an American card.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you
There's
have
a
to.
lot of filters. Mhm.
Yeah, so then you have to try to trick the whole thing to accept
Gotcha.
you, and that's a hard. Because me and my friend, two of all my old friends, we wanted to watch Spider-Man 3, the editor's cut that's out, the other version of Spider-Man 3, with a lot of better scenes that I don't understand why some of them were away because they were actually pretty good. So he had to trick the whole thing so he could buy like an access thing to get in. It was like a lot of work, took hours to get into the
Wow.
library
Wow.
just to watch that movie.
We're very spoiled here. It's like I remember Stone Loki had his morning show. He was
Mhm.
referencing Highlander. I'm like, that's good. I can watch for Highlander today. And I didn't have a physical copy with me. I didn't have it. I didn't have it tangible. So all I had to do was kind of go through all the different apps. I'm like, oh, there it is for free. There he goes. I got it.
Yeah.
It didn't take me
Also,
very long to find one of them. So it's pretty rare. And every now and again
yeah,
you have to buy something that
that's
maybe you don't own
that's
or whatever. But yeah,
and
there's options.
that's also one of the reason Norway are so big with piracy is
Yeah.
because we don't get a lot of things down here of certain things that we want to watch.
Sure.
So we are kind of forced to. I don't say people should do pirate online and stuff, but a lot of Norwegians are forced to basically do it because we don't have all the things that we should have. So like
I've seen this too, and I understand where the companies are coming from. They want to protect their intellectual property, but how you go about it, back in my day, okay, before the dark times, right? We had Star Wars and we had Star Trek, and they dealt with their intellectual property very differently.
Yeah.
If you were at a convention, right, and you were putting out bootleg items, whether it was resin casts of props and things like that, you'd have people from Paramount, CBS coming through and hitting you with cease and desist letters. Whereas Lucasfilm did something different. They'd go to the conventions, see what people were selling, and take notes. And then they'd go back and talk to their licensees and say, make this, blaster, make this lightsaber, make this and sell it. And then you go, well, I have the choice between spending $350 on this lump of resin that looks like Han Solo's blaster, or I can buy this $20 one that's got lights and sound.
Yep.
They trust me, the stuff that changed during that era, like right before Star Wars and then of course right after Star Wars, it just changed the entire game because you ended up with massive developments and improvements of science fiction toys. The things that they would shoot, the lights, the sounds.
Thank you, Kenner.
Just massive upgrades that obviously led. We wouldn't have, imagine then when you get to like, the Transformers era and the He-Man era and stuff, so it was just revolutionary.
But bringing it to what we were just talking about with Jace here is that same thing. You have a movie and you're not getting it to Norway.
Yeah, you're missing
and
out on a market.
they're pirating it. Well, maybe you need to figure out, instead of trying to find a way to clamp down on the piracy, find a way to get it there so that they'll pay for it, because they will. I remember some years ago, so that the Richard Donner Superman, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was we now have the Donner cut. That was what he envisioned for Superman 1 and 2 and never got to. Well, there was going around on the interwebs pirate splicing of for years from DVDs of Superman 1 and 2 and material from other countries, from television edits, stuff like that. Fans had cobbled together this fan edit, and Warner Brothers kept trying to shut it down, and the fans that were behind it put out a blast and said, look, Warner Brothers, we're not doing this to break the law or get anything for free. You put this out yourself and we'll all pay for it. And somebody at Warner Brothers started thinking it through and said, you know what? They got a point. Let's do it. And Now you can buy the Donner's cut in much higher definition and better footage with Donner involved. He oversaw it.
Chris joined us in the chat and talks about how much Norway stinks, and then says when the money did eventually get to Norway, everyone has seen it and no one will go watch it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they did with the
That's
Spider-Man
a big
thing.
problem. Yeah.
So as
you
I
wasted
told,
way too long.
I told, for example, the Spider-Man got delayed in Norway.
Right.
And it came this year, the start of this year. So everybody else in the world have seen the movie, but not us. I did, at least, because my friend works at the cinema, so I got to see it before everyone else, luckily. But everyone else that I knew had to travel to Sweden, Denmark all the time to just watch the movie. So when the movie came out, almost everybody has seen it all over the world, and we've gotten all the spoilers. So just like, I'm happy I saw it first, but I'm thinking about everyone else that didn't get to see it.
I've heard similar from Andre over at Midnight's Edge. He makes the same.
Yeah, me and Andre were fighting so much for that. We were trying so hard to push so we could get the movie earlier.
Yeah.
And I told Pops this on another stream, that when I tried to talk to the big people that controls the cinema in Norway, they blocked me.
Yeah.
Just blocked me, and I tried to be nice. Like, I know I can swear and be an asshole, a-hole sometimes, but I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to do this professionally. Nah, they just blocked me. See it, blocked me. And I was like, okay, thank you. That's how you treat your customers.
Patrick and I have had this conversation before. Yes.
Yeah, he says people will always pirate everything. The trick is always to balance the ease of access and cost if it's easier to pay, cheap enough that most people won't bother trying to find a way around it. Yeah. We went through this, and Troy, we're gonna be in similar age paths here. That when you go through Napster, and
I remember Napster,
the shift of music and pirating music and copying music and all this stuff. It just become like the whole world just changed digitally. It was like our first phase of that.
Yep.
Then DVD burning, where you can make copies of your own your own stuff,
the
backup
old
copies.
school.
And this stuff. So when you live through it, you start to like, there's always going to be people. There's always going to be a way.
Lived through that myself. So because me and my dad, we grew up really poor. So we couldn't buy everything, so we had to rent stuff. And I wanted to watch the movie more times, so he did rip the DVDs for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is, and I think that Patrick was exactly right. There is this level at which I do want to see it, but I'm not willing to pay to go see it at the theater. Or there's a lot of Disney stuff right now. I just won't support Disney under these current circumstances. But you do vote with your dollar. And look, if you get real tight so I can't, pirate something, fine. I'm no worse off, But when it comes to something that I do remember LimeWire too.
Yeah.
When there's something I really care about, I will spend the money on it. That's why I always say own physical media. If there's something you really love, go buy it and own it. Give them the money, but then you have it and they can't take that away from you.
Yeah.
And it sends the message, do more like this.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I have been thinking about trying to get a Blu-ray player that's region free.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually can get more stuff, because Norway, I'm a big anime guy, right? I love anime. And 90% of all the animes I watch, they will never be sold in Norway. You can't find anything in Norway, not even streaming services.
Right.
I have to go on pirate sites all the time.
Yeah.
But there are certain stuff I really want to buy of animes. I want them in my collection, but I can only find them on Amazon and stuff like that. So I need to get a region-free player so I can actually watch them and buy them, because I want to own them myself.
But look at what's happening now with the way entertainment is going. I think a lot of people are starting to turn away. We see it with the media, right? With the news outlets. People are turning away from the legacy media, and they're turning to online sources that are actually doing journalism. Same thing. We're getting disenfranchised by our franchises, and we're looking to YouTubers. We're looking to fan films. We're looking to, and what do? You send a super chat and say thanks so much for all you're doing. You send a contribution, a Patreon. By the way, Pops has his links down below, so make sure that if you're enjoying the content, you send a little thank you.
We're getting there.
See how I did that? See
that?
That's
a good transition right there. That's
Smooth.
a good transition
Good
right
transition.
there. Yeah, we're doing good, and I think that there's been this YouTube thing has definitely shifted again, and I just kind of happened to fall into the same time where I think a whole bunch of folks have come together on this and see something very similar, all growing simultaneous together. Not just as a community or a fellowship, even it's almost like it's becoming family, where you just see this giant Venn diagram. And I said this back an hour or so ago when we were doing the Halo stream. It's like when I went to the comic shop in this rise of the comic shop era, this late 80s, early 90s thing where this thing just exploded into something different.
I'm jealous.
It was everything at once. It was comic books. It was cards. It was figurines. It was model sets. It was gaming. It was just this amalgam of so many different types of collectibles and things like that. And you would just hang out. You'd meet people who had similar interests. I had friends that were really into gaming, but I wasn't. I had people who were not into comic books at all. You were into just movie or, like you said, anime, things like this. So YouTube has now become this almost like if you look at Twitter as a networking tool, you can create this Venn diagram where all these people are overlapping. And I know that you have the Gary and Az and Critical Drinker and these people up here, but then there's like this new group that's really bubbling and blowing up behind it. And I think it's really fascinating. I just feel so honored and blessed to even remotely be a part of it all. Cause it's become my hobby to go to. I do watch certain things, but for the most part, I'm over here trying to keep up with everybody's stuff, go in and support them, because folks, that's how you get the algorithm bumps. You go in, you leave in a comment, it's engagement. That's called engagement. You're hitting like, you share, you might tweet, you do whatever. These are all little tick marks on that little algorithm. They may not notice it today, but it's a staircase. It's a staircase. And it's amazing how it works. So Chris chimed in. Chris, why are you not in here? They want to make you go to streaming so they have control over it. They can edit it, and you are but renting it. Even if you buy it like Amazon Prime, you don't own it, you are renting it.
Another problem too, also, when you have not the physical media, but only on the platforms. The other problem with that is that they can change stuff in the movie with commercial and all that other stuff, and that's something they have started to do, and even censor certain parts. Like they even did that with the Disney movie with Lilo and Stitch, an old Disney movie, right? They even
Toy
censored
Story 2.
Toy Story 2. Like I'm just like, come on, dude. They're not harmful things.
And I just responded to Chris, and I always on my channel, I'm always like I'm preaching. I say own physical media for exactly that reason. And some people come back and say, well, this thing that I want or that thing I want doesn't exist on physical media. Then make your own. For example, I had a VHS tape of. Okay, this is going to be before most of everyone's time here, except maybe you, Pops. The Electric Grandmother. Do you remember that?
Just in name only. I don't even know the last time.
Ray Bradbury story that they made into a made-for-TV film with Maureen Stapleton was the electric. She's an android, right?
Yeah.
She plays grandmother.
Where did I see that? Like a VHS tape or something. Someone
very, very sweet. I have it on
VHS.
What did I have to do? I had to transfer it to DVD so that I had, because VHS degrades very quickly.
Yeah.
DVD will last much longer. So I made my own DVD. And there's other things you can only get through a streaming or whatever. I pull that down and I make a DVD of it, because own the physical media. If you put it out on DVD, I'll buy it again. But, just saying.
Yeah, that's why I own so many different Blu-rays and DVDs from Star Wars.
Okay, that's what Chris is saying. He owns the VHS versions for this exact reasons. Yes,
same here.
Yes, you should own the black box VHS. Those keep coming up in conversation. And speaking of Star Wars, on May 25th, Mags and I will host a Star Wars night on May 25th to host the official Star Wars Day.
Yes, so are we.
Right.
So are we. We are also doing that.
Oh, are you? Okay. Well, we'll have to figure out.
I'm a Star Wars fanatic.
Yeah, well,
Of
we'll be
course,
doing
I'm a
early
Star
like
Wars
this. We like
fanatic.
5:30. I like us 5:30 start talking. I have time to get home from the day
If
job, get here, pop the computer in, go for an hour and a half, so take a bathroom break, and maybe I can join your show
yeah,
after that.
yeah, we are gonna go for like 5 hours ish stream to celebrate Star Wars, real Star Wars.
Yes, we've dug up. I've been tracking down like 1976 and 77 stuff to look at and reminisce about. Like really try to give people a good dose of how it all started. 90% of those, approximately 500 movies and hundreds of TV episodes and shows on my Plex server are ones that I own media for. Most of the rest were bought on Amazon Prime Video, and I consider my copies fair use. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You are allowed to back up
See,
your copies.
he's an IT geek. I don't even understand what he's talking about.
No,
with
I
the
don't
Plex
either, but I'm very
servers.
curious how to keep in touch with Patrick.
And I
'cause we gotta
always
figure out how
wonder,
to
it's
get
like,
mine.
if it's out on some server somewhere and you lose contact
Oh,
with it.
yeah.
Yes, Troy has a wall of discs. That's absolutely
Yeah.
true. He's seen it.
Yeah, well,
And I have a fun story to tell you guys after I watched the Doctor Strange movie.
Mhm.
Because I'm gonna turn my camera on this because just gonna do this. No,
Visual, we need to
so
see it, right?
yeah, no, so I was, I hate the movie so much with a big passion. I'm not gonna get into that. So I went to Discord because I'm on a lot of Discord servers with friends from Norway, and I just wrote, I hate the movie. I thought it was pretty
which movie are we talking
farking.
about, Jace?
Doctor Strange.
Okay, because
right?
you hate a lot of movies, just so we're completely
Yeah.
clear here, by the way.
And
You
I
make
called
me
Chris,
feel like I'm Mr. Populist. I'm
and then they start to like call me a lot of names I'm not gonna say because it's a PG-13 channel in that kind of
appreciate that
sense.
because you're being called out, Chris. Yeah, you called me.
Yeah, I called him after the movie.
Emoji,
That's how. Yeah, because that's how much I hated it. And then they start, oh, you're just a fake Marvel fan. You have never read a comic in your life. You're just fake. You're just a poser. And I'm just like, so you're telling me all the books, the figures, everything I have in my collection is just fake? So we made a joke that I'm exposed. I did it on YouTube. I'm exposed. Everything you see of me is just CGI. All my figures, my books, everything is just CGI. Right. So yeah, I got that happened. So and it didn't stop calling me names. They wanted to fight me.
You should
I
point out that they're right. They didn't stay comic book accurate with America Chavez, fortunately.
Yep,
because
I know.
that America Chavez was way more tolerable than I thought she would be. Because that comic book is unbearably bad.
Yep. Even though I don't like her character in this movie, she's okay, but I don't like her. But she's better in the comics. And
so poor Chris. So Jace calls Chris at work, and Jace is just unloading about Doctor Strange, and Chris is just like,
See,
yep.
I feel like with and I haven't seen Multiverse of Madness, so I don't know, but I have no interest in that character. I know the whole story with the whole all new, all different Marvel. I have no interest in that. They're introducing her in this. We're getting what do you call Lady Thor in Love and Thunder. I have no interest in going into that era of Marvel. It pretty much tanked Marvel Comics. So why do you think it's going to be, it's like kind of going for the milk and finding it all chunky and spoiled and going, well, okay, I'll just put it back in the fridge and maybe tomorrow it'll be
I'll have it in my cereal.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to complain about my cereal not being what everybody likes. Yeah, I understand.
And that's how I kind of feel about Marvel right now. But here's the thing about that gatekeeping that you were just describing, Jace. That's another reason why I'm kind of excited about this era. When I would go, I was more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, right?
I'm both.
So I would go see these Marvel movies, and I knew Captain America, I knew Iron Man from like the 60s cartoons, okay? But what I didn't know, all the Easter eggs, all that kind of stuff, that's what YouTube is for. That's what Wikipedia is for. That's what the internet in general is for. And then I'd go and I'd look and I go, oh, well, maybe that story's worth looking into. And maybe I'd read something online or something like that and get caught up on it and go, oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's the information age. That's where we are. So none of this gatekeeping stuff. If there's somebody out there who wasn't a fan previously, they can be now and they can get caught up.
Chris
But
is like calling for gatekeeping. That's funny.
but yeah, I mean, so but if you want your whatever you're loving to not be popular, to keep it to yourself, go right ahead, and you and 12 other people will enjoy it, and you won't get any more movies. That's how the market works.
And I think that there's a place where I think that there's betrayal in fandom that's spread everywhere through all these franchises that they've basically been murdered off. And that is that you bought the rights to do this, the licensor, you created them. And now you're trying to roll it out there and it's being branded as such. Halo is a great example, right? I just talked about Halo for an hour and a
Oh my
half,
God.
whatever. And there's nothing Halo about it. Like literally you have, I brought a diehard fan on. I'm a normie. Ironcaster's kind of in the middle. So you get all three different perspectives of the show. And it's like, well, you have maybe 15, 20 minutes. You have a few jingle of the keys of things and references. But other than that, there's no source material that's so why did you do it? And that's where the betrayal comes in. Fans have reacted this way because you've backstabbed them. You betrayed them. Like, we just don't believe you.
I have some.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm getting really sick of the accusations when you try to point out when they change the canon on you. Look, if you change the canon, this isn't that thing anymore. Okay, I don't have a problem with a female Doctor Who or a black character or whatever, but when you decide to take, for example, the current Star Trek, you decide to take Robert April when the character was established as a white guy and race swap him, you've just changed the canon. I don't have a problem with a black character. I have a problem with a race swapped character. And I would have the same problem if they made Uhura white, or if they made...
That's what I've been talking about a lot of times. I don't want race swapping for any characters. I want the characters to stay the way they are. And
the first Doctor Strange, right? They changed the Ancient One. It made me mad.
It bothered me, yes. And it didn't make it better that it was a white person.
Go ahead, Jace.
Nope. No, like when it comes to like Doctor Strange 1, like one thing that, okay, I can survive that they made the character into a woman. I can try to get the whole that's okay. But they could at least had an Asian character, because the Asian one is an Asian old character. So it would have made more sense into the story and the universe and the lore on that character. But it's the same thing. We say that, out of the blue, they made Blade white in a way. We take that as an example. I would have hated it because he's going to be a person of color. He's not going to be white. He's not going to be Asian. He's not going to be white. He's going to be a black man. That's his whole existence and his lore. And, we have the Percy Jackson thing that is happening right now.
I was going to get to that too. As a possible topic is we'll transition to that now. So what is a bigger red flag for you guys? The race swap that we have with Percy Jackson, where you have in the actual content details that, this is basically a Caucasian character, let's say 15, blah, 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 has details that kind of play all this out there, sketch art, things of that nature. Or what's worse, that or X-Men 97, the cartoons being redone for, quote, modern times. I think the modern times is even a bigger red flag, because this is just like, well, what does that mean? Like, because the race swapping can work. It's rare, gender
really
swapping.
Rare.
Gender swapping is rare, right? These are rare, but the modern time things, I'm not sure there are any examples of anything working out well. So we're in this weird cultural battle, and I think Chris was saying it, we need some element of gatekeeping, because you don't want the poison to continue to fester in the franchise. The door is open for people to come in and learn and become new fans and enjoy it, but just just manipulating it into something that it's not. Everyone needs to be saying, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, but another cool thing that I want to mention when it comes to Halo is that we actually have a guy called Stefan. I think it's Stefan, I think it is. I butcher his name all the time. I'm Norwegian, Stop. But he's actually making a fan short film with practical effects and miniatures and CGI. And he's also a director, a actor, and everything. And fans are helping him and everything. And it's called Hell Jumpers, and it's going to be lore accurate because he didn't like the show like all the others.
Mhm.
And he's going to make the best Halo you have ever seen on live screen. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's nice.
He,
Awesome.
he followed me on Twitter too for some reason.
Oh,
that's
look
kinda
at
funny.
you. Your stock is rising. Troy, what bothers you more? The Percy Jackson story or
X-Men.
the X-Men 97?
I do
I'm
have
not-
to say, oh, sorry. I do have to say that I don't know the details of the two particular items you're saying, but I think I get enough from context to be able to speak to this. I think you're right. I think that both are bad. And both can work. Okay. So, for example, when they decided to make the Doctor a female, I don't think any real Doctor Who fan had a problem with that. That wasn't really the issue. The issue wasn't a female Doctor because of the nature of what, the lore is. You can change, the Doctor's changing all the time. Change to a female? Yeah, sure. Next one's going to be black? Okay, sure. No problem. It's the changing the canon. If you go back and decide, no, the first Doctor wasn't the first Doctor, and he wasn't Gallifreyan, he was something else, and blah, 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 blah. That's what bothers the fans. By the same token, we've had Green Lantern. They had Hal Jordan, and then they brought in John Stewart, and John Stewart, his story was great. And
it's amazing.
He was same thing with Captain Marvel. The Marvel version of Captain Marvel went from being a alien white guy to Monica Rambeau.
But they're different characters. So it's I know they would carry. See, that's where I understand the mantle.
Yes.
But that's
Marvel.
That is a mantle, named. But then there's like a person.
Exactly.
That's different than we're going to cast a Green Lantern. We're going to call him Hal Jordan, but we're going to cast a black guy. It's like, no, that doesn't work. Hal Jordan's the white dude. You can cast, and I don't want John Stewart to be cast as a white dude or an Asian dude. It's like, no, they just make another character. So in some of these situations, it made perfect sense. Like it totally was fine to follow the Captain Marvel timeline, see different characters, carry a mantle. That was fine.
Would have been nice if they'd actually done that, but they didn't.
That's right. And now they've messed it up.
Marvel, Marvel, the way he died in the comics was strong with all the characters around the other characters.
That
was an incredible story arc.
Yeah, and I'm just like, Marvel, MCU, you had so good potential to use this story, and you would still have a female lead, but you will also have Marvel, the guy himself, who is a part of the Kree and everything. You have this amazing guy, and you make this death and make it strong and make it like try to make it to make sense to why she is Captain Marvel, why she becomes Captain Marvel. You could do something with it, but no, they didn't. They swapped the whole character. And
Chris is delineating that Hal Jordan's always white, John Stewart's always black, and that the Green Lantern Corps, basically, they're just not limited to one character or something. It's a military peacekeeping force, and this is why it works. And there's just no reason not to expound on that. Like I actually didn't even have. I don't even have a problem with it. The comic books are terrible. I'm going to be honest, but I don't have a problem with them making Kamala Khan. Like them making, because she has her own origin story. She idol worships Captain Marvel, and she wants to be a character like that. Makes her own costume. It's kind of cheesy, whatever. Okay, I can actually follow all of that, and all of that does work for me, to be honest. Like her creating that is fine. That actually makes a whole lot more sense than the Carol Danvers storyline, like where they got to with Carol Danvers. So, and I point this out because this illustrates they can actually do this and make it right. I'm not saying it's not tokenized, because it is still tokenized. Lady Thor is tokenized. Like it's just, there are elements of being tokenized, but you can do this right. With Percy Jackson, they've got the creator now. The creator basically is coming out. I don't know if I have the whole quote. I copied some of it.
Yeah,
but I know that we get to this topic. Yeah, I didn't get the whole quote. But basically, it was basically him. He's basically just he's buying into it. He's just buying into the intersexuality.
Yeah, he did the same thing. He did the same thing that J.K. Rowling did, and the guy who made Sandman. Both of them did the same thing.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman said, he came out and said, yeah, he was happy with it.
Yeah, and now the Percy Jackson guy is also doing the same exactly thing, like them. So,
and that brings up the other point. You know, who should be doing the gatekeeping? The gatekeeping should be the IP holders, right?
Mm-hmm.
If J.K. Rowling gives away the creative license to, I don't even know what company it is that makes
that would be Warner Brothers in that
Warner
case.
Brothers, and Warner Brothers decides to do something else, and she signed off on it, and she took her paycheck. Well, you got to deal with it, you know. And until very recently, you never had the possibility of that happening with like the Tolkien estate. The Tolkien estate was very, very tight on the continuity and stuff and what they would approve for anything, you know, Lord of the Rings related. Now it's a free-for-all. In fact, it's, you know, they've split the proverbial baby. So and one has to look at Lucasfilm and say, when Disney spent $4.5 billion for Lucasfilm, you can't tell me they did that with the expectation that you're going to destroy the thing and recreate it. They were paying for, let's keep making money on the shoulders of what it already is.
Sure. And this is the tug of war that fans need to have. They're the market, right? You brought it up. It is true. And it is painful for fans. Like Disney screwing this up, it's on Disney, you know, but that also does mean the valuation of the IP will change. Right. So the valuation of the IP will change. So Chris says Ms. Marvel can work, but you also need the right mindset to develop. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to justify Ms. Marvel's story. I was trying to get into, you know, the derivative character and create a new character as kind of a spin-off and trying to keep elements. Let's see. You need Ms. Marvel to be aspirational, not me special too. Yeah, it's
and in the TV show that we're getting, they've also changed the whole story and her powers.
Yeah. She is well, let me get the last one. I think Chris has a fan should also gatekeep because their franchises are products that companies are supposed to sell to customers. If fans don't like it, they reject it. Yeah. No, I think you need to be loyal to what you like.
Yep.
And an awesome one is he's into my he tried to give me a nickname of White Salsa.
White salsa.
I will take it. I will take it. My wife was actually having a laugh about white salsa because I don't think I told her that. She was telling me over dinner, and she was like, we were having sushi, and she was talking about that I would have a white sabi name. That'd be my Japanese version of that. Would be white sabi.
That's fine.
Miss Marvel has this weird. So first off, she's an Inhuman in the comic book, right? She's exposed to a gas that her body reacts, becomes super stretchy, and she can almost like a Mr. Fantastic with some other different aspects.
Yeah, that's basically it.
But with the show, they basically went almost like with a Green Lantern. Well, from the footage that we know, because let's be honest,
with the
footage that we've seen, it's only going to be episodes 1 and 2. It's pretty much the formula for D+. We'll see what else there is, because there is the shot of her finding bracelets, which would tie more to a traditional Captain Marvel, Mr. Marvel, Captain Marvel. So I don't know what to expect. These shows have really been a disappointment, but Troy, I couldn't agree more that it's hard for us as fans to acknowledge that this stuff is property and revenue generating material. That's why they own it, right? It doesn't trade hands just because, like, people get mad. So I got into about Planet of the Apes with somebody, and it's like, I just don't want to see it. Listen, they own it. Why else own it? You can release the old movies again. You could, get a licensing deal to put them on a streaming service. You could put licensing out to air them on TV. What else are you going to do to make money on them? Otherwise, you just have them. Like, what would be so that's why these companies need to look at it. And if they're not, they're being irresponsible to their shareholders. So it is a balance. I understand as a fan. I got it. Trust me, I understand. But this is what's happened. The problem is the companies in our culture war have all folded up like a table, and they're bending every knee possible to all of the woke is a great big term, but it's subcategories of Black Lives Matter and third wave feminism and intersexuality. There's all these different subcategories that fit into there.
I remember when Force Awakens, we were all kind of still holding our breath going, well, let's see what the next movie's like. And then Last Jedi comes out and the fans just went ballistic. And that's when the most, horrible stuff started coming up on the internet. And a lot of fans just walked away from it. And there was all of this, if you're not supporting it, you're not a true fan. Oh, you think your boycott is going to make a difference to Disney? Disney's this big a company. That doesn't matter. Well, these things don't happen in a vacuum. It wasn't just Star Wars, and it wasn't just Marvel, and it wasn't just, whatever other things Disney was doing and their parks and everything else. And then they started with the stuff in Florida. Yep. And who would have thought back when The Last Jedi came out that, there's no such thing as too big to fail. Disney is on the precipice at this point.
As of today, their stock is down 40% year over year.
Today, probably right now as we're talking, is that investor call. I know Stephanie Janicek is going to do a video about it. I'm looking forward to that. But they need to, if they want to continue to exist, they need to start giving the fans what, they need to turn Star Wars around. They need to turn Marvel around. They need to turn their parks around, or they will just continue to become more and more irrelevant.
Yeah, and I think that it's great to see a lot of these big entities that are in this sort of like crosshairs of problems. I mean, no offense, the only way we're going to have change is that is going to have to happen, right? Because it's like, obviously, the most encouraging one for me is the white pill for me is the Warner Brother Discovery situation, where Zaslav has already lopped a lot of heads and seems to be more of a bean counter and try to how to be more profitable. But you also have stuff that's happening. How long can Paramount Plus keep doing this? They're eventually they're just falling so far behind the subscriber counts. They're becoming irrelevant. So let's hit. Chris was kind of, I don't say correcting me or elaborating on the cosmic bracelets that give her.
That's what it is. So it is basically the Green Lantern just with bracelets.
Because I saw that in Captain Marvel had bracelets, so I think they're going to try to play us in both angles. There is how I think they're going to do it. And then he also says Clownfish TV is also going to do a video, I believe, on that's going to be that investor information as well. Patrick says the world needs more Cap in every way. Awesome one. Pride comes before the fall. Boy, isn't that the truth, my friend? These companies are just, what's that famous South Park about smelling their own farts? Like it was just like, that's just, to me, it just is like they've gotten to that place. And as someone who was diehard Disney and had the passes and the whole nine to just, they've cut them out of our life. I told my wife and I were discussing, it's like, I don't even enjoy looking at my Disney hats. I don't even enjoy, like, it's all gotten hard to handle. Really has. Yep. And of course, it would not be appropriate to have a stream without having George Lucas stop in.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, George Lucas.
Yes.
Hey, George.
George Lucas is watching us.
Yeah, listen, I'll take it, George, anytime. So, so let me ask you guys about this announced project. I'll share a screen which just kind of touch on a little bit.
I just want to say that looks like Chris is popping in soon.
Okay, great. Perfect timing. Before we get into this too much more, let's welcome him in here. And see, I got the Ghostbusters up. I don't know how you guys feel. I don't want to get caught down into a full-on review type thing on Ghostbusters. Maybe we could just start with just a general thought. Here's Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, my friend.
Hello.
Thanks for hopping in with us. We're getting ready. Perfect timing. We're transitioning to a different thing, that kind of thing. But thanks for joining us and talk about a few things.
Thank you for having me on.
So just quickly, maybe some general periphery thoughts or review comments. I don't want to get too deep into what your thoughts of Ghostbusters Afterlife were. Jace, I'll let you go first because you hate it nearly everything.
I like the movie.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah,
actually,
I can say
Jace didn't like
the thing is that the thing is that I basically have never watched Ghostbusters before Chris like sat down and we watched it, and then I watched the second one, and then the 2016. No, thank you. And then I saw this, and I like this. It's a good movie.
Okay.
I like it a lot. I cried at the end.
Okay.
So
Troy?
yeah.
Ghostbusters. I mean,
Yeah, I know you've got
Aw.
toys everywhere.
yeah, I was gonna say I've seen a Ghostbusters or two. Yeah, I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, and I backed the proton pack, and so when those come, Netter and I both have them. We'll be kitted up for whatever the next movie is. We've got our neutrona wands and so forth, and yeah, this last one, I feel like it was a worthy successor to the true Ghostbusters movies.
Yep.
And I have no problem just pretending that 2016 just never happened. It's an alternate universe that nobody cared about.
Yep. I
Okay.
totally agree with
Chris?
you there.
Chris?
Oh, I enjoyed it. It was a lot better than definitely a lot better than 2016. But I mean, anything could be better than 2016. A piece of cheese nailed to the wall could be better than 2016. But I definitely enjoyed it, and it was definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think the film, first off, I agree. I got very emotional at the end. And then on the second viewing, I didn't get as emotional, but it was still hit me in the feels a little bit. On my third time and now the fourth time, I definitely can see where some of the critics were talking about it. It's a little on the slow side. It's a little bit whatever. I got a little bit more objective watching it again, once I got past the emotional bonds of it all. They've announced another film. They've not really said too much about the film.
Right.
I kind of closed the window because there's really not a lot in there, other than just basically an announcement. We don't really know a whole lot.
We
Obviously,
don't even technically
thinks,
know if it's a sequel.
Right. I was getting ready to say that. I think everyone presumes everyone's under contract. It would not be a shocker to think everyone's signing 3-picture deals.
To be honest,
I
I think Afterlife could have been a perfect ending to the old characters in a way.
Sure. I agree.
That's
Shocker to everyone. It's actually the next movie is actually a sequel to 2016.
Oh
no. That would just, you talk about melting Sony down to the ground. It would just be just a complete disaster. So,
well, did you hear about the one thing that Sony said that Sony kind of stood up to the Chinese government? Apparently, the Chinese government asked Sony to have the Statue of Liberty removed from the last Spider-Man movie, and they said no, we're not doing that. So I had to give Sony props there.
No, I got to give Sony a lot of props. I mean, I think that, Jace loves Morbius. I still haven't seen it. He, Spider-Man's big monster hit. They did Ghostbusters. I mean, Sony's on a roll, and standing up to China is a great PR move right now in our culture.
It is.
Like, so I don't
good
care
that they're doing that.
Yeah. This is, caving to other countries' requests. Troy, you'll vouch for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-blowing to me, growing up through the 70s and the 80s and whatever, 60s, 70s, and 80s in particular. It's like, you don't mess with people's art.
Yep.
Like, no, if it's rated R and it has this, there were battles over TV cuts.
Yep.
Like, I can remember vividly battles over TV cuts and how outraged these Hollywood people would be with how stuff was being shown on television.
In Norway, we got a lot of censored versions. A lot in Norway. It was really hard to get the uncut versions. So I'm really happy my dad was a movie geek that found and got everything uncut.
So it's just shocking for us, I think, to see. I don't know, Troy, you agree? Like, it's just weird.
I absolutely do.
Roll over like this.
There are very few examples where I think the edited versions are as good or better. One that I just loved, and people will probably freak out, being a Chicago boy as I am, the television version of Blues Brothers. There's a line where he is yelling at his brother. Jake's yelling at Elwood for BSing him, is the original line. And Elwood says, I wasn't, No. I'm sorry. You lied to me. No, I didn't lie to you. I BS'd you, right? In the television cut, instead of saying BS, he says they actually dubbed over it. I wasn't lying to you. I was bamboozling you. When I first heard
That's actually
that,
a better line. Yeah, I agree.
I laughed so
Yes.
hard I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah,
I have actually
actually-
seen the Blues Brothers in school. They actually showed that movie in school, so I know that part because that's the version we had.
Brilliant.
There's actually versions of that, like with Ghostbusters movies. They actually have TV versions that
Yes,
swap
this
out
man is
of
some
those.
sort of animal. We don't know what.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. There was a great what was it? The Shaun of the Dead on the DVD. There's a very F-filled scene.
Yep.
That is edited for. They didn't edit it for television so much as they edited it to be shown on airlines, and they change it to funk. F-U-N-K, funk. And that's another one that is so funny to hear that. It's just sometimes it's better when it's edited, but you're right. By and large, and especially when you're doing it because you're not doing it for your target audience, you're doing it for some international audience.
Yeah.
And
Well,
honestly, I said this, I even had a show about this, a stream about this. I said, the problem that I see with so many of these studios, you can't serve two masters, right? You cannot serve two masters. If you try to make something that'll make China happy and the US happy, neither will be happy. And Disney had film after film that they would acquiesce to China and then it would do poorly in China because it wasn't good, and it wouldn't do good in the US either because you took out everything that made it canonical. So you pleased nobody and made no money.
Chris?
do you guys remember the Red Dawn remake?
Sure.
Oh,
Chris Hemsworth.
you-
You want to call it Red
Yep.
Dawn, but yes.
Do you remember who the original it wasn't supposed to be the Koreans, but do you remember who the original villains of the Red Dawn remake was supposed to be?
Well, CCP.
yeah.
Yes. And then China flipped out, and so they created this. I don't know how it could work.
It didn't.
Yeah, it didn't work at all.
How it would I don't know how it would actually work of a unified Korea that invaded the United States.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't.
Whereas
I remember
the
that
original was
movie.
a brilliant alternate history, and there's a lot that you have to know about the politics and the socioeconomic things going on.
Yeah.
And you get a few lines from that one pilot that fill it in for you, but limited nuclear strikes and Russia and Cuba, and it's like,
I mean, the reason why the reason why a unified Greater Korea doesn't work is because even if Korea does unite, it's a regional power. It's not a global power.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now
Yep.
that's different with if China did it, because China could, if they play their cards right, could possibly project their power that way.
Right. Yep. Let's bring Ironcaster in there. He's going to join us. Thank you, my
Hello.
friend. How are you doing?
Ironcaster.
Long time no see.
It's Jason Momoa's stalker.
I didn't do the joke this time, Iron. You see,
I
I was
had
gonna be nice to you.
I would have been here a little sooner. I had to go do a little bit of digging for a book I was mentioning earlier.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. I can't wait to see it. So let me close out the comment here from Patrick, who was saying that more regular people willing to sacrifice themselves for others and live by higher principles. Real cap. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So we just finished up talking about the Ghostbusters film and some general thoughts about doing a follow up. And I think we're pretty good in consensus. I think we all would like to see something that stays true to the legacy. I think we feel a little anxious that there wasn't like an announcement of Jason Reitman's been given the keys and he's gonna do a follow up. I don't even want him to use the term sequel. I'd rather him just say, listen, we're going to build around Winston. He's got the Ecto-1. I've heard people like really on the fence on this. You guys give me your thoughts. I think Aykroyd's going to be down for coming in. He may not come in for like a major role, but he'll be down for working a couple months. Why not? I mean, I see they're not going to get Bill Murray back. No, that's done. Right.
And he's not necessary, really, when you think about the narrative.
At this point, I don't think you can have Ray and Winston running the Ecto-1, running the tech, getting a new team up and running. You know, the kids probably need a mentor. There's pieces there that you could work with. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think, Jace? Jace?
No, I think the same as you. I could say it better myself. So
okay. Ironcaster?
I mean, I feel like Star Wars, or no, I'm sorry, Star Wars. I was gonna go there with my answer. Ghostbusters did what Star Wars should have, in that is pass the torch.
Yeah,
I feel
in
like
a proper way.
Yeah, I feel like if they were smart, they would wait a couple of years, let the kids get a little older, and then you can effectively transition to them as adults continuing this. They go to a more ghost infested area to then continue that. Or if they wanted to spend more money, they could try to do something in New York to like they're back in New York and all the problems are happening. Because if you remember, like the stories around this movie of Afterlife was that it was like a very cheap production because they were out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the question is going to be like, do they want to keep doing that? Do they want to try to keep the budget low?
Right. Or
in which case you
raise the threat level by going to a big city like that. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I very much agree with Ironcasters that Ghostbusters Afterlife did what Star Wars should have done, which is to respect the past and then hand off the torch to the next generation. Because, I mean, for a lot of Star Wars fans, they wanted this, which I'm sharing a picture. This is a cartoon of what fans wanted, but this is what fans wanted.
Yeah,
they wanted to see Han, Luke, and Leia all together again. They wanted to see, and Lando and Chewie. They wanted all that. They wanted the team back together. And then this trilogy could have been what handed off the torch to the next generation.
Yeah.
The problem is because of what Disney has done, we're never going to get that, especially because of the passing of Carrie Fisher. God bless the princess.
Yeah.
Well, to even build upon that, they didn't even have to go and like have them being the big action stars. They didn't have to go and have, the trio together, like going in the Millennium Falcon to go and like be the big heroes.
I'm
like,
just saying is that the
kind of been there as mentors.
The ideal thing would have been to let them have one last trilogy and then hand off to the next generation for the next trilogy.
That
would have been the ideal thing, but
that's what Ghostbusters did pretty well.
Yeah,
I think with that part.
Troy, you're probably the biggest of the Ghostbuster fans among us here. So, what are your thoughts on like how you think the franchise will, or maybe how you would like it to move forward?
Okay, let me front load this a little bit. So this was a perfect storm for Ghostbusters. We came off the pandemic. We came off a lot of bad will for 2016, and we had a lot of fans kind of starting to get excited about maybe they're going to forget 2016. This is going to be a sequel. They already had that front loaded. And as they kept pushing it off, the fans could have gotten really upset. But what they did was brilliant. The licensing, they kept putting out new stuff. New stuff would hit the market, and re-release of the previous stuff, and the toys from the 80s were done again, and we got new versions of them. The marketing was brilliant, so that by the time they finally hit the theaters, the fans just went nuts. And I said, and I was in a chat room or whatever you kids call these interwebs these days, talking about they keep pushing it off, people are going to lose interest. I said, no, they are doing this brilliantly. I said, and it doesn't, at this point, it doesn't even matter how well the film does at the box office. They will be going into it already breaking even just on marketing. Remember, Star
Yep.
Wars. George Lucas taught us.
Yep.
The real money is in the marketing, the toys, and the toys have been selling hand over
Oh
fist.
yes.
The success of the HasLab for the proton pack should prove that to you.
Yes.
Not to mention, how well Ghostbusters News has been doing on YouTube and so many other channels.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it's a juggernaut, and Sony knew what they had, and they're like, if we want to keep selling the action figures, we just need to keep putting out, even if they just put out mediocre films that didn't piss off the fans. I'm sorry, I did it again.
You're fine. You're
I
fine.
did it last time too. I get one a show. If they don't drive away the fans that way and just keep them interested, they'll keep selling the toys. They'll keep selling the backpacks and the everything and the hang Slimer from the ceiling that glows in the dark or whatever.
Yeah, I think this
The
is
collection Blu-ray set.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got
yeah.
those too. Yeah.
Another video game, right? So I think there's just this is the thing too. Is like, again, we said this earlier in the show. We're talking about it being a franchise. It's a commodity. It's a line item. And I know as fans, we're like, oh, we want this one. We get greedy with this. But again, if any aspect of this can generate enough revenue, then you can get by and justify different moves and take some different risks. And
I think one of the best examples of the demand for that merchandising was those Ecto-1 popcorn buckets.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember when? All right, so I believe it was AMC had the Ecto-1s popcorn bucket where you could lift the hood up of the Ecto-1 that you could put your popcorn in that.
Yep.
And the day those came out, they were on eBay for about $200 a piece.
Yep.
Didn't
For what was a $35 bucket.
Wasn't it? I'm trying to remember who did it. Was it High C? Didn't they release the green slime drinks or whatever? I can't remember what it's called now.
2016 they re-released it and did really well. It did not come out for Afterlife, and there is actually somebody on Twitter that's going by re-release Ecto Cooler or something like that, and they've been really trying to get them to put it out again. They only put out like a few promotional ones that went to specific people that shared out on their social media, High C and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it really did seem to be a missed opportunity in the marketing, but that's High C's problem.
Someone did a great job. And I know, again, I will say this too, again, pre-current situation, hardcore Disney stuff. I mean, I have an Oogie Boogie popcorn bucket, like this big, right? That stuff sold like crazy for these companies. So them spidering out and trying different things and stuff like that, it's been a great success for it. And there's tons of source material. I really want to see them tap into that real Ghostbusters cartoon, because there's some mythos there that could be great. I said this about Men in Black. Men in Black is a wasted franchise. This cartoon that was done with Men in Black, that animated show, was really, there's some really good stuff in there. There's some really good stuff in there that can be adapted.
If you also look at the original Man in Black comics that the movies are based off of,
really good
there's
stuff.
A heck of a lot more to that, where the Men in Black comics are way different from what we see in the movie, because the movies just deal around with aliens protecting humanity, where the comics are more dark. I mean, Men in Black in the comics don't even worry if they kill you. They'll wipe your mind, they'll kill you, they'll do anything to keep everything a secret. Not just aliens, but also demons, ghosts, all that stuff. They're just basically,
it's so much more
generic paranormal, supernatural stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Ghost cops. All right. Awesome.
Well, I mean, basically, like, they're normally like the generic Men in Black who come for anything, for aliens, for ghosts, for demons, anything. They're that's what they are, and they're gonna wipe your mind, or they'll make you disappear.
Yeah, there were some really good comic books. There really was. That cartoon was really good. I really did enjoy that. Back in the day, my kids got into it too, which was always makes it even more rewarding. And I really was hoping that they'd see some.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved that comic.
That you just hit on it exactly there, Pops. This is the thing that's probably bothered me the most. Not only are they pushing fans away, but they're not getting in the new audience. And the reason they don't get the new audience is because the old audience isn't handing it off to their
I'm not
kids.
taking them. I'm not taking them.
When Force Awakens came out, there was a couple of really good commercials. There was one for batteries, and there was one for, I think it was Toys R Us. And they depicted parents interacting with their kid and the kids becoming the new generation and kind of handing it off. The Toys R Us one was trying to get his daughter to watch Star Wars and she wasn't interested. And then he can't find her in the toy aisle, and she's in the Star Wars aisle with the lightsaber, and he goes, "You are my daughter. I am your
Right. Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah.
And it's like that's it, right? Same thing with the brother and sister, you know, and you see their imagination fighting off the stormtroopers, and then you see it from the parents' point of view of them just playing in the snow with, you know, toy lightsabers, and you're like, that's it. These guys get it, right? Well, apparently Lucasfilm didn't.
Yeah,
We don't need the old fans. We want to get the new fans. You don't get the new fans if it's not handed off by the parents.
It's exactly how Kathleen Kennedy reacted when they were building Star Wars Land.
Yep.
Oh, we don't want the 30-year-old something. We don't want the 30-year-old men. We want the next generation. I'm sorry, but if you don't appeal to the 30-year-old men, you're not going to get the 30-year-old man's children.
What did Captain Karen say? I don't care what some 40-year-old white dude says about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. And that 40-year-old white man goes, "Oh, really? Well, I won't be seeing it. Neither will my daughter."
Right. Yeah. And
I mean, who did actually go see it? We have, apparently they sold out on all their theaters, but when people actually went into the theaters, the seats are all empty.
well, there's a pretty big conspiracy about this whole Captain Marvel ticket sale
I
stuff.
would not be surprised.
No, it all went public. The people, there was like these GoFundMe's, and there was these like sort of like, you can send a poor child to go see this movie campaign. They did it with Black Panther. They did it with Black Panther as well. You could basically sponsor a kid, but there was no one in these auditoriums. So all the tickets sold. It was like just giving Disney free money. You would just feel good about yourself with donating.
I would actually not be surprised if Disney actually went and bought the tickets themselves just to turn around and say, "Hey, see, shareholders, we did good. We did good." See,
the problem with that is that's very Enron kind of marketing. You know, it's like moving things around to make it look like we're doing better. That, you cannot maintain that. And the other thing is, we again living in the information age.
Look at what Disney is right now. And I mean, you also have that one person at a former accountant of Disney who blew the whistle, and all that has been brushed underneath the rug.
And
yeah, the story there was that they would go and if as I remember it, they would basically go and buy tickets, or they would go and credit tickets on gift cards, which they wouldn't chalk off as a spent expense. But then when the people went and spent the gift card, they would count that as a sale.
Yep.
Right.
So the accusation goes.
And but again, this is where the internet, for all of its evils, actually works. This is the information age, and people don't miss this stuff. They see it happening, and when they see a GoFundMe to send a girl to, you know, empower her and go see, you know, underprivileged, go see Captain Karen and, you know, whatever, people look at that and go, "Oh, really? We're going to send an underprivileged person to go see this movie instead of maybe, you know, trying to help their parents get a job or make sure that they eat." What, you know?
Yep. I agree with you, man.
Awesome one. Yeah, it's all great points. Everyone. He says Yellow Flash was saying just as much. These girls also grew up in Hollywood, have a real disgust for the way they're being treated as kids.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
and Maria's come in. Yep. Hey, Maria.
Hey, Maria.
Hey, Maria.
How are you doing?
Nice to see you. Well, nice to see you.
Maria is my next victim for a What's Your Story / Pops quiz.
I've already got it queued up.
Yes, that'll be a fun time.
That's cool.
If you have questions you'd like me to ask, feel free to DM me, and we will definitely try to make another entertaining night of it as well. So, Patrick says all corporate good citizen measures, including left-leaning causes and wokeism, are false garbage. Woke and environmental, publicly funded child labor and pollution elsewhere. Yeah. Yep. So This
Yeah.
is really finally getting some legs, Patrick. I'm glad you brought that up too. This kind of goes full circle with like something like Disney. And I did a whole stream on
Disney
this
and
with
thanking the Chinese government.
yeah, but I want to go even further to this. I don't want to sidebar us too much, so I'll be as fast as I can because I did a whole thing with Mexican Iron Man on this, where the biggest thing about this Reedy Creek District stuff that Governor DeSantis is doing here in Florida
Yep.
would be, if nothing else, just put them on the even playing field with the SeaWorlds,
Yes.
Busch Gardens, Universal Studios, and other theme parks in
you-
Florida. Because
Did
right
you
now
see
they
that
don't have to pay
the-
for. They don't pay for any inspections.
Yep.
They don't have to pay for the property taxes for that. They're not having to pay for these surveys. There
Yeah.
are. I mean, trust me, as a private citizen of this state, once I caught all this out, that's been my talking point to wake up Floridians. Is like
Did you
all that
Yeah.
crap you have to do that you have to go through just to refinance your house now. Like just to refinance my
Yep.
house, not buy a new one. I got to have surveys done again. I have to all. They're doing all that stuff to their parks and not paying a nickel
Yep.
for some of
I
that
mean,
stuff.
Yeah.
Did you-
Before this whole overturning of Reedy Creek, Disney could build a nuclear power plant on their property and
legally
Florida
they
couldn't
could.
say anything.
Yeah, legally.
Yep.
Well,
they could.
Actually, in fairness, let's
mean,
limit
It's
that.
not going to happen.
They-
I know. I'm
still
just
had-
I'm just saying is just how
They still had to
insane
answer to
it
the
was.
federal government. They just
Yes.
didn't have to
Right,
get
they'd
the
have to get a
governor's
federal
But I
license
mean,
to
did you
do that,
see
yeah.
that the court case has been dismissed?
Yes, because the people bringing it didn't have standing.
Yeah, they're not even in that right
Actually,
area.
Did you, Pops? Did you see the Valiant Renegade and Legal Mindset video?
Yeah. We mentioned that. We made a link to it in our chat too because they went even deeper than we were able to do.
Yep.
Because they went they're the one guy was actually like he's done legal contract work
Yep.
in this arena to set up these types of districts. And
Yep.
I said one of the cases were going to be dismissed because Disney and Reedy Creek is not the only one affected by this legal decision in Florida. So we have all these old contracts. You have to remember back in Florida when we're talking about guys, there is nothing there. This was orange groves, swampland,
Mostly
cows.
swampland. Yeah.
and cows.
Yeah.
That's it. There was nothing
Yep.
else there. And even now, when you start venturing like away from like Orlando, you go into like where I'm at, where my home is, more like in like North Central Florida.
Mhm.
There's nothing there. There's these huge swaths of area where there's nothing there. So to say, oh well, Disney got all this stuff on the cheap, and they just because they were trying to get some cash to come in on all this basically unused property, and the people were willing to sell. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, that was
derailed us
before. That was
tremendously.
before it was found out that Disney was buying land.
Yeah, it's
then,
all under
so-
Project X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the
and-
Project X.
And Legal Mindset did a great job breaking it down, saying you can't sue when you haven't lost anything. It's all hypothetical. You don't have standing because you are not Reedy Creek. Reedy Creek might have a case, but you don't.
Right. Yeah.
And
Right.
then,
They were suing on behalf of something they were afraid might happen.
And you
Yeah.
can't do that. That's not how the
Right.
law works.
Yeah, and then also you have the situation of I'm very much interested in one to see what happens when the Floridian government decides, hey, let's send some inspectors into Disney's and see what's happening. Let's
You know what? I don't even know what's happening in our chat.
Oh,
Don't
geez.
it?
But let's send some inspectors to observe their rides. Let's observe their structures. Let's observe the power supply
Make
and
it
all
the
that
same
stuff.
as what poor Universal has. You know when they
Yeah.
did Volcano Bay, which is their newest big project down here in Universal Studios in Florida.
Yeah.
It all leaked. It all leaked out because they had to have, the county hearings. They had to have the county surveys. They had to have the blueprints. All this stuff had to go public. Disney's been building I don't know how many rides for years, and it's like you got to go on like a Reddit stream to find
Are
some
you
person
sure
that
they've
took
been
a photo.
building rides? Are you sure they've been building rides? Because it seems like more like they've been renovating.
No, there's so for instance, where they're putting the Tron ride would have involved massive changes to the way the landscape worked. They would have had to have some permitting and hearings and stuff on some of that stuff. I'm not saying that particularly because in Florida you have like height rules and stuff. We're basically like one of the lightning capitals of the world where we get struck by lightning. So they have to have all these different rules and how tall stuff is. And yeah, so
Well,
I'm just trying to give you an idea
Yeah.
of what they've been able to have this unfair advantage based on this agreement that dates to the 60s, whereas these other theme parks don't. And I think that's one of the arguments that Floridians should ease, because we all know it's true to a certain extent in Florida. We just live in this weird place where we let them have this free pass until now. So let's get back on. I want to try to at least get one more story in if we can. This will be fast because it's absurd. It's just absurd, and I just think to myself, like, why? That's it. Just why? Like, let's remake White Men Can't Jump.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Why?
I think Pop's
Didn't
glitched.
make money. Okay, I don't know. I mean, are any of you old enough to even know much? Oh, did I glitch?
Yeah,
you
you
been
glitched.
roboting. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry.
that's okay.
Sorry. White Men Can't Jump. Reboot. I don't understand. Like,
Which
I can
don't
understand
know.
some of the big properties and stuff they're doing. Like, the originals made a lot of money. They were, this was like one of those culturally fun kind of movies. I don't know, Troy. I mean, you remember more. I think more likely than anyone else.
I gotta
I don't know that it
admit-
made a ton of money or anything like that. It was just like
It was a popular enough film. I honestly didn't see the
Yeah,
movie.
and you had
myself.
You had Wesley Snipes and you had
Yeah.
that Woody guy, and it was a fun movie.
And the fact
It
is,
elevated
yeah,
Woody
it was,
Harrelson's career tremendously. I'm not saying that.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to say it just seems like a weird choice. Like, what? Huh?
That's the other
Yeah.
thing. To use the term reboot for a single film, it's a remake. You reboot a
Correct.
ongoing franchise. You don't reboot a single
Right.
movie. That's a
I
remake.
mean, unfortunately, in today's political climate of Hollywood, anytime that you mention anything about white men, you kind of have to be very cautious about it.
No, you don't. It's okay if you
Well,
offend white people.
I'm saying is that I'm saying us as moviegoers.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
When we
Yeah,
see
Yeah.
anything mentioned about white men coming from
Yep.
Hollywood, you kind of like, wait, what?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think in part it's Hollywood just gets into this mindset of they need to go and keep with certain buzzwords. I mean, how often are you now seeing the word multiverse?
Oh, geez.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, right,
God,
yeah.
we've seen that everywhere. They've done
Exactly.
it on every single
And-
thing they're doing now.
And like I said, Hollywood just gets into a mindset where there's just certain words. This buzzword works. What's wrong with it? It's
they
probably
are-
the marketing
We've
people.
heard it.
They are
we've
the
heard
echo
it.
chamber. Like that's the
We've
way they
heard
are
it.
an echo chamber.
I think it was Gary from Nerdrotic said that Hollywood is like 5 years behind everything else. It's always 5 years behind everything else. It's always trying to catch up on what's cool, what's hip, what's pop, what's now.
Which is
And-
interesting, right? Because it
Yeah.
used to be the other way around. Hollywood used to set the trends. And I think you can totally see that when you look at the awards shows, right? It used to be that
Yep.
the Oscars were the big gala, and you'd look at what they were
Yep.
wearing, and then you'd see other people trying to emulate and stuff. And now it's a joke. It's
Now
a
it's just a
complete
joke.
joke that
A
nobody
big joke.
My mother said that she knew that the Oscars were a joke back in the 80s when she was watching it one of the last times she watched it, and she saw this one movie that she liked, and she liked this one supporting actress, but she lost out for someone else because and she's like, well, that person has a lot more connections in Hollywood than the actress who was better than her.
Yeah.
Let me ask: do you guys think this is a byproduct of just the internet and just the cultural part of it all? Because to me, I think Hollywood just can't keep up. I think at this point now, stuff
Don't
happens
really-
fast. People react to it. Content creation, smaller, faster streaming. So all this happens. Hollywood has this massive. Get me a script. Let's get it funded. Let's get it cast. Let's get it produced. Let's get it in the can. We have to market it, edit it, whatever. It just I don't know. I think the world has changed so much that the ADD part of us is part of that as well. I don't know, Ironcaster. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it is in part that because communication has sped up so much. News stories that break worldwide now, thanks to websites like Twitter, thanks to all the social media. I mean, hell, we're talking with JACE in Norway right now.
It's true.
Yep.
Yeah. It,
Jace
So
was
if I
like
were to come out with a story that, Danny DeVito did a backflip and saved a baby,
Jace was
and
in
you'd be like,
Denmark.
yeah, I mean, I think this is like the meme culture, Jace, right? So like something you basically can follow American culture in Norway without even blinking an eye. Doesn't cost you any money.
mhm.
No, that's
or we
true.
can go and pull up, stuff from Japan, Ultraman.
That's true. It's very nice
Yep.
too.
which I have on DVD.
Well, we were Ironcaster
Nice,
has
nice.
turned me on to the Netflix version. There's like a little animated one on Netflix, and I have to agree with
Yep.
them. I'm only like 6 episodes in, and it is fantastic. Highly recommend.
Yep.
It's really been fun, and it is a great.
Yep.
It is a great. Will we call it a reboot or just a continuation of the story? Because
Well-
it's a little bit of both. I don't know. I'm good. I'm happy either way.
A requel.
I mean, it's ultimately just
A
its
requel.
Is that
own
the Mego
series.
figure?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This
Yeah,
was
it's
a
Amigo, yeah.
this was Amigo.
Nice.
Yeah.
They started making them recently for stuff. So it's like Mego came back.
I've got them. I have all the horror ones right behind me.
Okay.
Did you see?
I
did
was
you guys
eyeing up the
ever-
Frankenstein ones at the store.
Did you guys ever see the what was it? The Malaysian, or it's either Malaysian or Thailand ripoff of Ultraman and Hanuman?
Oh yeah.
There's some
kept the
guy.
series-
There's some guy there was back in like the 80s or 70s or something like that. There's some guy in Thailand or Malaysia or whatever who got permission from the owners of Ultraman to use them in his movie with Hanuman, which is I guess a god character or whatever in their culture, and as soon as the movie came out, it was a badly made movie, but I mean that's but it's like one of those cheesy, fun, bad movies. But after the movie came out, he turned around and says, "Oh, I now own Ultraman," and so he would put Ultraman in with sequels, badly spliced together sequel movies.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it wound up keeping the franchise in like a legal limbo for like decades, just out.
can say a
So
long
anything
time, right?
outside of
Yeah.
Japan
Yeah.
just could not get it. And it's
Uh,
only just now recently getting cleared up.
Awesome one says YouTube is the standard. I think there's an overlap, awesome one between YouTube and Twitter, to be honest. Because Facebook's pretty much outdated.
Yeah.
Patrick summarized way better than I said. What I was trying to articulate was Hollywood has no imagination. Inception to distribution
Yep.
is too long a cycle, and when they're already react to the inception point, yeah, they're just.
And
Yep.
It's just that because in the 80s, it was just faster. They would just come up with the knockoff versions. They would modify existing scripts. It was just a faster process than it is now, and Hollywood just can't speed it up now.
and,
Go ahead,
and
Troy.
going,
I have a good book that helps point that out.
what's that?
Trash.
Trash.
This is the book I was looking for earlier,
Fair
which
enough.
is a whole book full of like all kinds of exploitation posters and this from like the 80s and all the different little like genres of it over the years.
Huh.
Once you're
Interesting.
exposed, the world will never look the same. Trash
You better
probably
put that
assembles-
down a little bit. That might get
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
The
Yeah,
guy with the
there
mustache in the
was-
corner might get him.
Oh, there's also the
Well, I mean-
the female character up in the top right corner who was kind of showing off a little too much skin underneath her skirt.
Well, look at what you did, Ironcasher. You probably got me in trouble.
But what I was going to say though is what's unfortunate is that, and because going back to what you were asking about, is Hollywood behind?
Sex trash.
Yeah, it is
Wow.
called trash. So I'm
Groovy trash. I like that chapter. Groovy trash. That sounds like a segment for a show.
Careful.
I'll-
Yeah,
I'll
I'm not
show
sure
off
that's
a
an
couple
appropriate channel.
I kind of
It's
saw kind of a
mostly-
tit.
I might have to go. I
posters.
might have to go to groovy trash.
Here, how about
That's
Oh,
better.
Oh, now we're
better.
talking.
Now
Look at
we're
that.
talking.
Ooh, that's
There
so
we go.
Snake. I thought you were dead.
That is
You
you
boss.
thought wrong?
There we go.
That
Let's
is
hope you don't
boss.
get in trouble, pops.
I'll be. I can handle it. I can take my lumps. I've dealt with worse.
Yeah.
I fought the law in Wall 1 on my last copyright claim. I'll be all right. I can keep it up.
I don't want-
They don't
I don't want to
scare
go
me.
through and just show the whole book off. So
Right.
we'll show a page or two at a time.
Yeah, I don't want him to do what you did on my channel.
Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch the video and see what he did.
All right, they're taking their cues from all these woke kids they hire. Yeah, there is definitely an infiltration factor that's been talked about on some of the big channels. I think it's definitely spot on, and I've seen that within corporate America and corporate, over the years. I've seen a lot of that,
and that's the
stuff like
saddest part, right? Because we do live in an age where, I mean, it used to be before the internet. How did they find out what people were interested in? They'd spend a lot of money on market research. Now they literally have access to everybody shouting into the wind what they want for free. That's the internet.
Well, they use Twitter. They go to Twitter. They go to Twitter and just see what
Right,
people are talking about on
and
Twitter.
then the problem you have is
Yeah.
the Twitter bots that can go and fabricate a trend.
Yeah.
that. Yeah, they can fabricate.
That's where they're
trending.
well, but I don't think they're even listening to that. I don't think that they're savvy enough to be able to go to their marketing department and say, I want you to, do what you do to comb through the social media, filter out the bots, and find out what real fans are really saying. Because let's face it, it's really YouTube more than Twitter. It's people like Doomcock and Pops, that are telling people.
It's the Venn diagram, right? A little bit, but there's also, but I think it all goes full circle because it's also related because they're not going to promote. I know, Jace, you hated it, but they're not going to promote the Northmen, right? It just they'll take that information, they'll think it's good, and then they'll go, oh, but not that one. So there's we're still in the middle of a culture where all these things are happening, but even then, unlike it's really kind of weird to think about it this way, let's say 70s and 80s and even some of the early 90s, they would have 3 copycats already out right now because it would already, if it made enough money. I'm not trying to say Northman did. I'm saying if it made enough money, there'd be 3 copycats already in production. They'd be rushed 6 months. They'd be fast and dirty and back out in theaters.
Yeah, it's just like with Star Wars came out, you had Battle Beyond the Stars. You had Turkish Star Wars. You had Message from Outer Space.
Yep.
You had all those movies coming out that all basically ripped off of. I mean, literally, Turkish Star Wars were literally ripped off of Star Wars.
Well, Ridley Scott would never have gotten Blade Runner done. Like you just
Alien would never existed without Star Wars, because the whole reason why Fox made Alien was because they wanted another sci-fi movie that would kind of capitalize off of the sci-fi trend of Star Wars.
Yep.
Because Star Wars gave new life to the sci-fi genre.
It did.
To get back to the marketing thing, I want to point out that sometimes it'll be the writers themselves doing it. I mean, you had Batwoman trending, and then they tried to push the Twitter account, the Batwoman's writers group, or Batwoman writers room, to try to keep the show on the air. Like it doesn't have to be marketing. It can just be.
That's true.
The X-Men people just has a cause.
Yeah, the X-Men writers did the same thing with the Hellfire Gala, because there's all this pushback on how bad the Hellfire Gala was, and there's like, no,
that was terrible.
It's crazy. So let's start. We have to start wrapping up here soon. So we try to hit a little round table, at least think about in your head. Stuff that's positive that you're enjoying, things that you're reading, watching, listening to, whatever. So we kind of because we have to be able to give people some positives to get their arms around too, as because we bash on things here and there. So Ironcaster showing off his one book. What else you got hanging on that table, bro? You're always well prepared for this part of my conversation.
Oh, well, today was New Comic Book Day, so I went to my comic shop. Unfortunately, they're just out of reach, but I've got some stuff like Transformers, the last Cybertronian.
Okay.
Like I said, it's out of reach. I don't have it at
okay.
But
all right.
So there are some shows I am enjoying. Like I've been getting into it with Jace a little bit. Some of basically the Power Rangers. Okay. The new series Dawn Brothers.
Oh yeah, Dawn Brothers.
What is that on? What is that on?
So it's you can find it on the internet.
It's one of those you sent me a link.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
no problem.
The thing is, there is no current way to watch it outside of Japan that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I have not found any other than what you sent me.
All right.
Yeah. I found a DVD.
You gotta be in the circle, folks. You gotta be in the circles. You gotta make friends. You gotta, do things. So, Yeah, Patrick, what are we saying this to, Patrick? I'm not sure.
That was
Oh,
the
Hardware
first Star Wars
Wars.
parody.
Star Wars
Yes.
parody stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
right.
fun.
Yes, one of the spinoffs. Yeah. Fantastic.
You'll
Yeah.
laugh, you'll cry, you'll kiss $3 goodbye.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
All right, Jace. What about you? What's positive right now? What you enjoy watching, seeing, reading, listening to?
What have I been watching again lately? I've been watching way too many things. Well, I've been watching a Norwegian documentary about Mayhem, the Norwegian black metal band who did a lot of weird shit back in the day, especially two of them. One of them went to prison because he ended the life to another. In the band, a lot of stuff happened with them. It's a really positive documentary about them because you can see the whole band talking about this and their side and what they saw and the real story. Because we did get a movie that was really false called Lord of Chaos, and they didn't do the real story at all of what happened in Norway at all. Because he was a Swedish guy who made the movie basically, and he hated he hated Mayhem.
What was the name of the? Okay, what Mayhem's the name of the band?
Yeah, Mayhem is
Okay.
the name of the band.
right.
So it's pretty positive. I like it. I like to see the other guys. Memnok, who was on my channel and a close friend of mine, one of the biggest black metal artists in Norway. He have talked a lot about this, but I finally got to see more of the documentary to like see what they had to say. I really like it. It's really informative. So,
Awesome.
and I have been, I've been rereading a manga called Takane and Hana. And it's a typical manga story with love and stuff like that. It's pretty funny and cute. So that's some things I've been doing lately. And trying to play some old games like Devil May Cry and other stuff. So yeah,
That's fantastic.
I'm gonna have to start playing that eventually. I still haven't
Devil May
started
Cry?
yet.
Devil May Cry.
I
You
have it on
have to.
Steam. I just
You start with the third game. That's the start of the whole story of the games, the third game, and then you start on the first and the second and the two last ones, not the
then
remake.
when do I play the remake?
You don't play the remake; it doesn't exist. Forget that remake.
It doesn't
And-
exist.
Just
and
like there's only
then-
one Matrix come. There's no remake.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and then Ironcaster, then you watch the anime that's canon to the games.
Okay.
Awesome. Chris, what
Yeah.
about you?
I am, well, besides watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, while I'm working, I'm listening to audiobooks of the sequel series, the sequel books to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So I'm listening to the whole franchise is called the Chronicles of Half-Blood, Camp Half-Blood, and I'm listening to the third installment, which is the Trials of Apollo. So Apollo, in the previous series of books, Apollo did something that pissed off, that slipped out, that angered Zeus, and so he took away his divinity and made him human, and so he now has to re-earn his divinity. And
Yep.
Awesome.
so, I mean, they're YA novels, but I mean, hey, they're time killers, and they're actually relatively entertaining.
There's no judgment of anything being YA. Trust me. I was not a fan of reading the Harry Potter movies, Harry Potter books for that exact reason. They're kids' books, right? And I got the first one. I was like 3 books in. I don't know, whatever the third or fourth book was out. And I got the first one. I read it like in 3 hours, didn't put it down, passed it off to my kid, went, got the second one, and we were off and running because it was something I could share with them immediately.
Nice.
And we could
Yeah.
discuss hero journeys, strong characters, weak characters, parallels to Star Wars because they grew up on Star Wars. Like, obviously the Harry Potter versus, Star Wars metaphor. There's like a lot of overlap and the exact same kind of thing. So it was just this incredible thing that worked for us. So there's definitely no judgment with that. That's awesome, man. Thanks for bringing that up. That's good.
Then I'm also rewatching through the Japanese animated series Gundam, though I'm actually in the one of the sequel installments, which is called Gundam Double Zeta.
Okay.
So
Awesome. That's great. Troy, what about you, my friend?
Well, as far as current media, streaming and so forth, Stephen Otten turned me on to an Amazon Prime show called Outer Range. I think that whole series is dropped now, and if we can even get it, if Netter and I can get it watched by the time I go live on Friday, we might be talking about that series with Stephen Otten again.
Yeah. Is it the show with Josh Brolin?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Is it good?
Well, we've seen like the first half of it, and yeah, it's been really good so far.
Yeah, because it's on my list, and I kind of want to look into it.
Little timey-wimey without, being too noodle scrambly. So that's
good.
Pretty good.
It's worth to take a look at.
I would say if you have Amazon Prime, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna look into that then.
I wouldn't necessarily say go out of your way and get an Amazon Prime if you don't already have it for this.
No, I'm a part of Twitch also because I'm like with Twitch and all that. You kind of get the Prime.
There you go.
Also.
Okay. So there you go. Yeah, we had Amazon Prime for a long time. Didn't realize we could be watching streaming stuff. We were just having stuff delivered to the house. But really, most of the media I'm consuming is like YouTube. And recently, I came across this channel that I really have been enjoying a lot. This Pops on Pop Culture. I recommend you subscribe.
Third time.
Hit the like.
He's like the boss. He is the boss.
Hit the subscribe button down below. It's definitely worth checking out. He has some great guests. This one, maybe
I said, there's this guy. It's these people over there. Oh, wrong way. People over there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do it like this.
There.
Yeah,
but
I don't know who you could possibly talk about. You're stuck here with us.
Yeah.
No, man. I subject Ironcaster to Halo. He keeps coming back for more. Talk about I love it.
Apparently, he pays me in comic books now.
Well, listen, they're going to a good home. That's for sure. That was good. So.
And if you're looking for a good current comic, I ran across this title called Wrong Earth by Ahoy Comics.
Wrong Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so familiar.
Basic premise. Imagine if the Adam West Batman and the Frank Miller Batman were two universes and they switched Batman.
Totally in.
Oh, yes.
I totally
That's on my list.
It's not obviously Batman. This is their own characters, but clear parodies.
Yes,
wow.
No, I've seen. It's on my reading list, so I remember it now. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, I found
grab my books.
Rebirth Batman I hadn't read, and somebody said it was good, and I found it for like $5 at Ollie's. So I have a first few issues of that for.
No, Pops. One day we need to talk some comics and see what you got, because I need some comics, man.
House of Dragon. Oh, we get it big. Let's get it big.
Another good recommendation.
Hour of Dragon.
Hour of the Dragon.
So this is an excellent comic recommendation. The Cimmerian is the Robert E. Howard Conan the Barbarian stories adapted. It's just
uncensored.
They just can't call it Conan on the cover. But what's pretty neat about these is it's all the violence. It's great art in here.
It's Conan.
Wow.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, Conan stuff. It's just beautiful comic. Conan, just beautiful comic books.
In the back of the book, they then include the actual text.
Oh, from the actual book.
Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
That is amazing, bro.
That's fantastic.
So this is as faithful as you can get for your Howard.
Nice.
Oh no.
So this just popped up on my Twitter feed.
You know, I had to give us Good Chaser, something kind of prep everyone for do something good, and then going into.
Oh, I don't think we could do this. It's gonna make us go too long.
I just it just all of a sudden popped in. I'm just like, oh dear Lord, no.
Yeah.
Positive vibes now. Positive.
Yeah,
vibes
yeah. We have
for
something
Something
positive.
positive.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hunting down this last Ronin finally wrapped for Ninja Turtles. So I gotta get my copy of that so I can finally read that, and just kind of keep an eye out for because I really haven't done modern. The kids got me the Marvel app for Christmas. I've been reading old comic books mostly, but it has given me a chance to find out for myself how good or bad or ugly some of these new comic books are.
Yeah.
Let's see what Ironcaster's showing off here. Let's see what else we got here.
Got a lot of stuff this week. About 5 books.
Yeah.
Of course, I just showed off the Hour of the Dragon.
Oh, right.
This is the Last Spot Standing.
That's one
sort
you
of
were
a-
talking to me about. That's the Transformers book. I'm very
Yeah.
excited about what you think of that one.
Yeah,
Really,
this one
really
I
cool.
haven't had a chance to get into these. Of course, I showed this one off earlier. This
Yeah,
is
dealer.
Oh,
this
that's a
comic
famous
based on the
illustration.
art of Frank Frazetta.
Yeah, it's a comic.
I
of
love it.
It's great.
So it is his origin story, and I look forward to seeing what that one's about. Kind of with that other the Sumerian, we have a comic about Belite and Valeria
Nice.
from Conan, and then have some Power Rangers.
Oh, great
I-
artwork.
Boom Studio.
Oh,
delivering
yeah.
again.
Good comics.
The thing I
good
like about
comics.
these books is it's a minor thing, but the texture of the paper.
They have real paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like good
Real
type.
paper. Imagine 1990s paper. Imagine that. Yeah. Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
That's some positivity for you guys.
I will
Yeah.
take it to the bank. Folks, I appreciate your time. Thanks in the chat. You guys have been awesome, blessing me with your time and all of our
Thanks for having me,
conversation
man.
about different things.
Yeah.
Been a great time, stuff like that. Jason, anything you want to close out with? You would like to send out a little good vibe message. I'll let you do that.
A good vibe message. Well, like
Yeah,
I
you will,
always
you will.
say, life's too short. Make the most of it. And everyone in the chat, remember that everyone on this panel and everyone in this fellowship appreciates all the support and love that you guys are giving us. It inspires us every day to keep on going of what we're doing, making the content for you guys. And we love you and appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts. So thank you so much for being here and listening to us being maniacs.
And I will have all of their links in the description there, folks, so you can make sure you are subbed to every single person here. They are all under subbed, in my opinion. It's a crying shame. So we have to get them caught up, get these numbers going, and we all rise together. I think this has definitely been a theme I love to hitch my wagon to, and appreciate their time with me tonight. And you will see more of them on other streams, that's for sure.
And now
We
you can
get
see
more
my
together,
face
and
more too.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. He's got a haircut.
Yeah. Girls,
Jace is
I'm
always
single.
changing. Jace is always changing his hair every 5 minutes.
All right. Well, everybody
Yeah.
out there in chat, you guys have a good night, and thank you again.